Imagine thinking about healthy weight, but without all the usual stuff, the grueling workouts, the really restrictive diets.
Hmm.
What if the key was actually hidden in, well, ancient plant knowledge from remote island communities? In this deep dive, we're exploring these really fascinating weight management secrets from places in Southeast Asia and the Pacific. We'll look at how their traditional use of local herbs and plants is, interestingly, now being looked at by modern science, sometimes even validated. We're going to unpack these traditions and the research behind them.
Exactly. It's a journey into this intriguing link between traditional island cultures, their, let's say, unique plant know-how for wellness, and the actual science of healthy weight management today. We'll be focusing quite a bit on communities in Sumatra, Indonesia, and Okinawa, Japan, places, famous for the health and vitality of their people.
Right, so get ready for some maybe surprising facts and those aha moments. We're distilling the most compelling bits where this ancient wisdom meets modern research. The goal really is to grasp the core ideas and the specific ingredients that have helped these island populations for, well, centuries. Let's maybe start with the bigger picture. For generations, these fairly isolated communities developed unique ways to stay healthy, including weight management. And it seems it was largely through observation and tradition passed down.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is these weren't just random habits. They lived so closely with nature, they developed this deep, practical understanding of the plants around them. Sumatra and Okinawa are, well, they're really great examples of this traditional knowledge about diet and well-being.
Okay, let's dive into Sumatra first, Indonesia. The picture we get is this incredibly lush, vibrant environment, just packed with medicinal plants, like a natural pharmacy.
It really is described that way. And within all that biodiversity, people identified specific herbs for specific benefits. This is knowledge built up over, countless generations. And when we think about metabolism, three plants from Sumatra really seem to stand out in the sources.
Okay, tell us about them. First one mentioned is garcinia cambogia. So a lot of people might recognize that name, right? Often linked to weight loss supplements. What was its traditional place in Sumatra, and what's the science say now?
Well, traditionally, garcinia, which is a small tropical fruit, was used in Sumatran cooking, actually, often for a sour taste. But the interesting part is it contains hydroxycitric acid, HCA. Now, some research, mostly lab studies, some limited human trials, it suggests HCA might interfere with fat production and maybe impact appetite too. But it's important to say the evidence isn't totally conclusive across the board. Still promising, though.
Okay, that's a good clarification. And what about cinnamon bark? We use it all the time, coffee, desserts. Seems like it had a bigger role traditionally in Sumatra.
It did. Beyond just flavor, cinnamon bark was traditionally valued there for its health properties. And now science is looking into its potential role in helping regulate blood glucose levels.
Right.
By possibly moderating the sugar spikes after meals and the insulin release that follows, cinnamon could help prevent the body storing extra energy as fat.
That makes a lot of sense. So more than just a flavor enhancer. And the last Sumatran herb mentioned is ginger root. We know ginger, right, for upset stomachs, nausea, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And in the context of weight, its traditional Sumatran use kind of aligns with what we're learning about its potential to activate thermogenesis. Thermogenesis is basically your body generating heat and burning calories in the process. Some compounds in ginger might gently encourage that.
So the Sumatran way doesn't sound like these extreme quick fixes we often chase. It sounds more like maybe a daily, consistent thing, using these herbs to support metabolism naturally.
Precisely. It's about fostering that metabolic balance, a kind of subtle, consistent support system from nature. Now let's shift gears and head east to Okinawa, Japan, the famous island of longevity. This place has an almost legendary reputation for health and, well, long lifespans.
It really does. You hear Okinawa, you instantly think of people living incredibly long, healthy lives. What are some of their key traditional herbs and practices linked to metabolism and that famous longevity?
Okinawa has its own unique set of plants and, importantly, cultural habits. A big one is turmeric. Like in other parts of Asia, it has a long history in Okinawan medicine and food. The key compound, curcumin, is heavily researched for its powerful anti-inflammatory properties. And interestingly, that anti-inflammatory action is also being looked at for how it might influence fat metabolism.
That's fascinating. Inflammation seems to be linked to so much these days, doesn't it?
It really does. Another staple is green tea. very common in Okinawan tradition. It's loaded with catechins, which are potent antioxidants, and research suggests these catechins might play a role in boosting metabolism and helping the body use fat for energy fat oxidation.
Okay, so another example of metabolism support from natural sources. The information also mentions a unique citrus fruit, shikuwasa. I don't think I know that one.
Ah, shikuwasa. It's a small, quite tart citrus fruit native to Okinawa. It contains a specific flavonoid called nubilatin, and some emerging research indicates nubilatin might have potential to help prevent obesity and metabolic syndrome. It's another really compelling example of these specific compounds in traditional foods.
And it's not just what they eat, is it? The sources highlight this Okinawan principle, hara hachibu. Can you explain that?
Yes, hara hachibo. It's a really ingrained cultural practice. Basically, it means eating until you're about 80% full, not stuffed. This mindful approach to eating, especially combined with regularly consuming these metabolic-supporting botanicals, well, it could create a powerful synergy for maintaining a healthy weight without feeling deprived. Physiologically, it might help prevent overstretching the stomach, maybe influence satiety hormones too.
So we're seeing these incredible traditions passed down for generations. But what makes this so compelling now is that modern science is actually starting to back up some of these age-old practices.
Absolutely. When you dig into the science, a few key themes pop up. Many of these island herbs are packed with polyphenols and flavonoids. And what's interesting is they don't seem to be just passive compounds. They appear to actively help regulate how our bodies handle fats and manage inflammation. For instance, some polyphenols might influence enzymes involved in, say, fat storage or breakdown.
And the sources also mention something called adaptive thermogenesis.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds important.
Yes. Certain compounds in some of these tropical plants seem to have this ability to gently increase calorie expenditure by slightly raising core body temperature. It's a more gradual, possibly more sustainable way to encourage burning a few extra calories, unlike harsh stimulants. Think of it like turning up your body's thermostat just a tiny bit.
But that's a neat way to put it. I was also really interested in the potential impact on our gut health.
Oh, that's a huge area of research right now. Really exciting. Many traditional herbs can act like prebiotics, meaning they feed the beneficial bacteria in our gut microbiome. And we're learning more and more how a healthy gut is crucial for regulating weight and metabolism, among other things.
That really is all connected, isn't it? And finally, that point about keeping blood sugar levels stable keeps coming up.
Absolutely vital. By helping prevent those big spikes and crashes in blood glucose, these ingredients can potentially help manage hunger, reduce cravings for sugary stuff, which in turn can stop the body from storing excess glucose as fat so readily.
It's pretty remarkable how this traditional wisdom seems to mesh so well with what science is telling us now about physiology. And there was even mention of a 2023 review in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, looking at Southeast Asian herbs for weight management.
Yes, that review was quite insightful. It looked at, I think, 42 different traditional herbs used for weight management. And the finding was that over 80% of them contained bioactive compounds that showed metabolic benefits when analyzed with modern scientific methods. It really underscores the potential still held within these traditional systems.
That convergence is just fascinating. Now, the information we reviewed included an example of a modern product, Sumatra Slim Belly Tonic, inspired by this. And while we're not here to endorse specific products, it is an interesting example of how this knowledge gets translated today.
Right. What's noted about that formulation is its attempt to combine herbs traditionally used in both Sumatra and Okinawa, trying to get potential benefits from both regions. The key ingredients listed were things like garcinia cambogia extract, cinnamon bark, turmeric, green tea extract, and ginger root.
And based on what we've just discussed, their purported benefits line up, right? Garcinia and fat production, cinnamon and blood sugar, turmeric for inflammation, green tea for thermogenesis, ginger for calorie burning.
Exactly. And the emphasis, according to the source material, is that this type of blend aims to work gently with the body's own systems. Quite different from, say, some stimulant-heavy supplements that can cause jitters or other side effects. It's more about supporting the body's natural balance.
That really highlights the gentler approach overall, doesn't it? The one that seems characteristic of these island traditions. It's not about extreme measures, but more about maybe a natural decrease in hunger, more stable energy, and a gradual, sustainable weight release if needed.
Precisely. Which is quite a contrast to many common Western approaches. Highly restrictive diets, really intense exercise regimes that are hard to stick with, relying purely on willpower. The island philosophy seems more focused on bringing the body back into its natural equilibrium through consistent, gentle support.
So for someone listening now thinking, okay, I don't live on a tropical island, what are some practical takeaways? How can you or I integrate some of this wisdom into modern life?
That's a really key question. We can definitely adopt the core principles. Maybe starting the day with some of those supportive herbs like cinnamon, ginger, or turmeric in a tea. That's pretty simple. Practicing mindful eating, like that Okinawan harahachibu idea, just becoming more aware of your body's fullness signals. Prioritizing whole, unprocessed foods as much as possible, similar to those traditional diets. Lots of fruits, vegetables, maybe fish. Incorporating natural movement throughout the day, not just structured workouts. And yes, for some, perhaps looking into a well-formulated botanical supplement that combines some of these ingredients could be an option to consider.
It really boils down to creating a lifestyle that supports your body's natural tendency towards balance. And the results seen in those populations are quite compelling, aren't they? Lower obesity rates, fewer metabolic diseases compared to many Western countries. It speaks volumes.
It really does. And it's crucial to remember this isn't about a quick fix. It's not about some magic bullet for overnight transformation. It's about sustainable progress, allowing the body to gradually find its own healthy equilibrium.
So, to kind of wrap up, the weight management wisdom from these ancient island cultures, rooted in their traditional use of specific herbs and these mindful practices, well, it's increasingly being looked at and validated by modern science. And it offers a really interesting, potentially gentler, more holistic way to think about supporting our metabolic health.
Which leads to a thought for you, the listener. How might incorporating even small bits of this ancient wisdom affect your sense of well-being? And maybe what other traditional practices from around the world might hold overlooked benefits that science is only just starting to catch up with?
Yeah, this deep dive really shows that sometimes the best answers aren't in the newest trends, but in the enduring wisdom of cultures that lived closely with nature for centuries. There's a real sense of discovery there.